Hello and welcome to the White Trash Voltaire podcast. I'm your host, DARPA Chief Donald Anderson, aka Decoy Octopus, aka Caleb. And I have with me my co-host, the man who daily aspires to live up to the ideal that is the White Trash Voltaire, Matthew Vehemity. And also Sam. He's around here somewhere. This episode we have a special guest, Steven. Steven is a beer connoisseur, a Marvel Comics enthusiast, and most importantly, lives next door to where 3/4 of this podcast is being recorded. Alright, so you know us, we love alcohol, it's practically the cornerstone of this podcast, so I must ask, what's everybody drinking? Matt, what are you drinking?
Corsair Triple Smoke Whiskey, which is what all three of us are drinking.
True story. It's a special that Steven brought.
I've actually been waiting for this podcast to start recording to taste it. I've been withholding.
We have not. They gave me a lot of extra, so I've been drinking since before this started.
Okay, so just to establish, Matthew, Sam, and Steven are all drinking. What is it called again?
Corsair Triple Smoke Whiskey. It's from a distillery out of Tennessee.
Caleb is not drinking that because Caleb is 600 miles away from where that is.
You're probably closer to Tennessee than we are, so you can probably go pick up some.
No, we're not any closer.
Well, no. I'm just saying 600 miles away from where the bottle that you guys are drinking from is.
That's true, because I can touch the bottle from where I am. You can't.
There are probably other bottles between here and there, though.
Several.
I'm sure, but I don't have one right now.
That's a shame.
So, what's Matt's opinion of this whiskey?
This is the most unique whiskey I've ever tasted.
Good unique or bad unique?
Hold on.
Unique can go either way.
Man, that has a lot of stuff going on.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, cool story.
Yeah, I really... Like, I taste things. I there's undertones. There's different things on my palate, but I don't even know how to automatically describe that.
For those listening to the podcast who are not familiar with Corsair Triple Smoke, it's a small batch whiskey, and it's basically been, as the name suggests, triple smoked with cherry, beechwood, and peat smoked barley, and it is absolutely wonderful. You can mix it, you can drink it neat. It's very smooth, but it's got a great smoky character that kind of really hits on the back end. And of course, the aroma is pretty much all smoke and loveliness. And it's wonderful in an old-fashioned or just neat or on the rocks.
Are you jealous, Caleb?
I'm sorry, guys. My
jealous.
voice just sounded like Steven's for a second. That was my complete description of how this whiskey tastes.
You are the best ventriloquist of all time. Cheers, White Trash Voltaire.
Right?
So what's Caleb drinking?
Caleb is drinking a beer from the brewery Unibrow. It's called Trois Pistoles, and it's excellent.
Called Unibrow?
Yes.
Is that name intentionally ironic, or?
Well, let's see. They are... Well, I think it's actually pronounced Unibrew.
Okay.
Are there umlauts?
I'm not sure what the actual origin of this beer is. It's imported. It's an import, so, but I'm not sure what the origin is.
Is it Nova Scotian?
I really don't know. It doesn't say on the bottle anywhere where it actually comes from, and not that I can see. But it's really great, though. It's a dark ale brewed with spices, and it's just really flavorful. Lots of caramel, molasses type flavors, some fruit flavors to it. It's a good beer, really good beer. My dad picked one of them up a few weeks ago, and then he and I had one whenever he was visiting, and then he bought me some additional ones for my birthday, which was 2 days ago. From the time this podcast is recorded, not from the time you're listening. So,
is it an alt beer or is it a Hefeweizen?
What? It's
alt beer or Hefeweizen?
Well, it's not a Hefeweizen, and I don't know what the first one that you're asking about is.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to figure out its country of origin.
It just claims to be a dark ale.
Steven just set himself aside, apparently doing research.
I have an Epic Beer app on my phone, which I use to chronicle every beer that I drink.
I also use it to chronicle every beer Steven drinks.
Well, it's called Unibrew. I guess it's called Unibrew. I guess that's how it's pronounced. It's Unibroue.
Oh, I'm spelling it wrong.
There is probably a beer fanatic out there who loves that beer that is getting so angry that you're mispronouncing that.
I doubt they're listening to this podcast.
Yes, I'm sure that they're out there, but they're not listening to us.
Is that the brewery or is that the beer?
That's the brewery.
Is that the make or the model?
What's the beer called?
It's called Trois Pistoles.
Ah, that would be Trois.
Yeah, whatever.
It's Canadian.
Oh.
Oh, snap.
I wasn't far off.
Well, hey, you know
almost
what?
is Nova Scotian.
Hey, you know what? Those Canadians, they can
Well-
make good beer.
It's actually from Quebec, so technically it is foreign.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I'm just saying, they can make good beer. They don't always, but that could be said of anyone.
That's true.
I mean, the Germans are really good at making beer, but they do not always make good beer.
That's probably true.
I've had some that wasn't
I've
so
had
great.
one German brew I did not like.
Oh, what was that?
It was a double bock. I don't really care for double bocks.
Oh,
It was the Polaner double bock.
yeah, I don't love that particular one too much, but I'm a big fan of double box though. So,
See, you're gonna have to recommend some good ones because I have not had one that I like yet.
well, I'll have to get a list together for you.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
I drink a lot of double box, but you know, one of my favorite, actually, probably my favorite type of beer is going to be like Belgian Abbey ales. They've got and they're similar to double box, but they're
Are you
just
talking like the Chimay kind of stuff?
You know, I've actually never had Chimay.
Chimay, good.
I intended to try it because I found out because I didn't know that it was actually Belgian. I based on looking at the bottle and the kind of like the font style and stuff. Every time I saw it, I actually thought it looked like it might be some kind of South American thing.
See, I got Middle Eastern vibes, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, because to me it looked kind of like it could be some kind of like Incan or Mayan inspired concept with the font they used, but that was my take on it. But then I found out that it's brewed by Trappist monks in Belgium, which is totally different than what I was
Those
thinking.
Trappists know what they're doing.
Yeah,
That
they
stuff-
do.
It's pricey, but totally worth the price tag if you can pick it up.
Yeah, there are two beers that I would rate like the best beers I've ever had. One of them is St. Bernardus Abbot 12, which is excellent. It's a quadruple Abbey ale, and it's magnificent. And then the other one, it's also a quadruple Abbey ale, but it's from the brewery Trappistus Rochefort, and it is also magnificent, but very pricey, like $8 for like a regular bottle.
Yeah, those Trappist ones tend to be pretty pricey. What was the name of that second one?
The second one was the Trappistus Rochefort. I don't know how to spell it. I don't have the bottle for reference. But it's Trappist, like the Trappist monks. Only it's got
Trappistus Rochefort 10.
10. Yes, that's the one.
All right, I'm gonna add it to my wish list right now.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. They're very, very dark, very fruity, caramelly, molasses kind of beers. They're really thick mouthfeel, but they're excellent. That's my favorite kind of beer.
Okay.
So, anyway, I think that pretty much covers the alcohol for right now, right?
For right now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we might be going back to that here in a little bit, but we'll get to that later.
All right. So there's some Marvel movie trailers and teasers and stuff that came out.
Only a bunch.
this week, right? I mean, those all
Stuff's
came out like this
happening,
past
yeah.
week, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
So how about those?
What's going on? Well, which one should we discuss first? The Age of Ultron trailer? Do you want to talk about the Ant-Man trailer? The Age of Ultron trailer just dropped yesterday. The Ant-Man's been out for about a week now.
You know, I would like to cover Ant-Man real quick because I have, because that's the one that I saw most recently, and so it's freshest in my mind.
Yeah, let's do that. That's fine.
I just want to say, first off, I'm not really impressed with what I've seen of Ant-Man. It looks like it's going to be It looks like it's going to be awful. That's what I think. The trailer shattered any confidence that I had, which was already reduced heavily whenever I found out that that Edgar Wright wouldn't be helming the film. And yeah, I don't feel good about it at all. It looks almost like did anybody see the Green Lantern?
I intentionally avoided it.
As did I.
Yeah, well, okay. So based on the previews, I get a very much a Green Lantern vibe of awful. That movie was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The Green Lantern was awful, like by all accounts. I am unsure as to how they released that movie, like with a straight face. It was so bad, like just on so many levels, down to the basic concept of the story that was happening there. It was so bad.
I very much enjoy Ryan Reynolds.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that he was even a part of that.
I don't even understand why he agreed to do that movie, because it was so awful.
Anyone who wanted to see him as a DC superhero didn't want to see him as Green Lantern. They wanted to see him as the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
and honestly, I think that would have been a lot more suited to who Ryan Reynolds, like what his strengths are when he plays characters.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Absolutely. Everyone that wanted to see him play a DC movie role wanted to see the Flash, and then he got announced as Green Lantern. Everyone collectively went, "Wait, what?" So it was not a fun experience for anyone.
Now, I don't know anything about the Green Lantern, like the comics or anything like that.
I know that you can defeat any of the Green Lanterns with a number 2 pencil.
That's not true anymore, but there was a time in which all Green Lantern rings had the weakness of the color yellow. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff Johns, I think pretty much retconned that, and it was fear was the great enemy. And of course, the yellow rings are powered by fear, which is why they're so vulnerable. And then he made it so, surprise, no more rings are vulnerable to yellow anymore. Pretty much making them the most powerful things in the universe. That
actually makes a lot of sense. And I remember that happening because there was one time where Batman was a very brief time, he was a part of the Green Lantern Corps, and he actually gave the ring up because fear is his strength.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Well, anyway, the point that I was getting to is that the concept of Green Lantern as a character seemed kind of cool in the movie. Like, it seemed like if it had been a totally different movie, that was a totally different story and different actors. I mean, I didn't have any problem with Ryan Reynolds specifically as in that movie, but just in general, all the other supporting actors and the basic storyline and a lot of the visual direction of that movie, if all of that had been different, and then the Green Lantern, the character, had been in there, it seemed like it had potential to be something that kind of cool, but the execution was so bad.
And honestly, I think that's where DC movies tend to fall apart, is in execution. That's why, with maybe one or two exceptions, DC hasn't really had any film successes the way Marvel has. And I mean, you can chalk that up to any number of reasons. Marvel exercises extreme creative control over their properties, et cetera, et cetera. But DC just has way more misses, probably because Sam's snake is getting ready to eat a mouse, and so we're all watching. But probably because their execution just falls short of what the comics are.
If I may, personally, I think that, I don't know where the disconnect is, but DC somehow cannot find good writers and good directors to execute a movie that sums up characters and DC storylines well between 1 to 3 movies. They seem to be having a lot more success in TV's series, and I am honestly a really big fan of their TV series, but their movies are never really that good.
Well, I think that the biggest problem with DC is, as far as I know, they don't have a film production company of their own.
They don't need one. They're owned by Warner Brothers.
In theory, they shouldn't need one.
Yeah.
Well, but in theory, having one would probably help them to control what's going on in their movies. Like Marvel Studios controls everything that happens in Marvel movies, whereas DC movies get made by whoever is gonna license it and make it. I mean, the film is always distributed by Warner Brothers, but it doesn't seem like it's the same level of direct control as
I feel like it also,
Marvel.
as far as control is concerned, I feel like it also is very heavily based on what the intellectual property is. In a previous podcast, I mentioned Sandman, and when the superhero movie explosion came about in the late 90s, early 2000s, Warner Brothers really wanted to make a Sandman movie happen, but they wanted a Sandman movie that was cape and tights. Mm-hmm. And Neil Gaiman was like, no, I will throw myself in front of a bus before that releases into daylight. I will not let that happen. And so now, like I stated in a previous podcast, Neil Gaiman is apparently finding the right people to make that movie happen, but he's been incredibly territorial.
That's what he should be. He's created a wonderful character and a wonderful world around that particular character. The theory is his, and I credit it to him anyway because he was the first one I heard it from, and he may have gotten it from elsewhere, but just the idea that a comic book movie's success is dependent on how true they stay to the books on which they're based. That's why the initial X-Men films did really well, and the further they got away from that, the more awful they got.
And so by the time the third X-Men movie came out, it was like, nah, I'm good.
Honestly,
but the second X-Men movie was awesome.
The first two were great.
Yeah,
and then
the second one was better than the first one. It was getting better until the third one.
Yeah, Brett Ratner took over and just said, "Hey, how many mutants do we have? Well, let's just dump them all in." And regardless of whether they play a role in the story, hey guys, let's tell 5 stories at the same time. Wouldn't that be fun? And it just
that
didn't work.
Seems to be really popular for doing the second or third installment in a superhero movie for whatever reason, shoving so many extra characters in there that the storyline becomes muddy and you can't tell what's even going on. Does anybody know what's up with that?
I feel like doing that gives it the illusion of being mature and cerebral, but it fails.
Yeah, I don't know if it gives it the illusion of being mature and cerebral. I think what it does is what happens then is when studios start to try to cater to the fans and give the fans every little thing they want. Like Spider-Man 3 is a great example of what the studio wanted, what the fans wanted, and what the director wanted, and they each wanted 3 different things. So you've got Sandman in there to tell the story that the director wanted to tell. And that, honestly, if just Sandman were the villain, it would have been a great film. Then you've got the Green Goblin, which is in there to please the studio. Well, you've been building up to this across 2 movies. You've got to put him in there. You've got to give the payoff. So he's in there. And if the 2 of them would have been, it still would have been muddy, it still would have been murky, but it still would have made sense. And then you add Venom in there. Why? Because the fans wanted to see Venom. And so you've got 3 villains in one awful movie, and there's really nothing in that Spider-Man film that really resembles the spirit of... And again, I think the same thing was happening with the Spider-Man films was happening with X-Men. They were getting better. Yeah. Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man 1. And then the third one comes out and is just trying to do too much. And I think that's when it starts to fall apart, is when they start to do too much with the franchise. And Amazing Spider-Man 2 did this as well.
Probably one of the worst superhero movies I have ever seen in my life.
Right, because it's trying to do too much.
Like, he's fighting with dubstep. He was using dubstep to fight.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. Oh, you haven't seen it, right?
No,
that's right.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it either.
This is the worst part. It's dubstep of the itsy bitsy spider.
Uh-huh.
What?
Literally, like every time he did powers, bass would drop. It was
Electro.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was abysmal. It was really bad. But then on top of that, you also try to pigeon in the Green Goblin because hey, it's the signature character of the series. Yeah. You're trying to set up the next 3 movies. You're telling 3 different stories within the confines of the movie. It got to be too much. And this is an occasion where they did it too soon. Because usually you don't expect that till the 3rd movie.
But they've been trying to do more than any movie's ever tried to do before.
It was it was to the point of just ridiculousness, really.
Which is weird because you'd think that that Sony Pictures would have learned from Spider-Man 3 that they need to not do that.
Well, and apparently what they put on film was different from what they put on screen was different from what they filmed, because all the actors were really upset with the cut of the film that got released, because there was all this character stuff that they missed, all this kind of background stuff. Andrew Garfield and I think one of the bit players have both gone on record saying, that wasn't the script that we filmed, that was something different. And of course, post-production being what it is, you can go and, CGI a bunch of stuff in there and make it look really cool.
Yeah.
Which is probably ultimately what ended up happening. But it wasn't. There was a lot more humanness to the film than what ultimately ended up getting put out there.
So
that's really disappointing.
Who's to blame?
Do what?
I said the question is, who's to blame?
It's his fault. Everything's his fault.
Is it really?
Yeah. Where's Spider-Man now?
No,
I liked Andrew Garfield.
Really? Compared to Tobey Maguire, you're going to Andrew Garfield?
I hear that Andrew Garfield's performance was the redeeming quality of the movie.
I would actually agree.
Well, him and Emma Stone.
Of course, I didn't see it, but that's just what I've heard.
No. His performance in there. I mean, I'm gonna chop it up to editing, but all of their, it wasn't just they fit too much. None of the acting made sense. A lot of the there was so much wrong with that. At one point, he falls over a railing and is squealing or something. Remember?
I saw it once and tried to forget it.
Yeah, he's talking with what's his face who plays the Green Goblin, and then he gets all bashful, and leans over a railing, just spins around it.
Oh, yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
What I heard, and yes, I heard about that, and I heard that it was real, it was genuine human emotion being captured, and that it was the most magnificent performance ever seen. But for some reason, that pisses Sam off.
No.
Well,
it wasn't the most.
Consider the source.
What's that name?
I think you know it.
I don't.
I can't explain it to you then.
Matt can explain it to me.
Okay, so anyway, I feel like that we trailed off. We trailed off hugely from the original question, which was what I thought about Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yes.
And I think that basically the gist of what I was saying is that if you look at a trailer for the Green Lantern, and then if you look at a trailer for Ant-Man, I feel like you're going to find a lot of similarities as far as how terrible it looks.
Well, and I think
it looks really bad in the same way that Green Lantern looked bad.
My thought about Ant-Man is that it's a movie that, at least from what I've seen, which is about as much as everyone else has seen at this point, it's a movie that doesn't really know what it wants to be yet. The trailer had 3 different genres going on. It had family drama, it had action-adventure story, and they made some hints they were going to try to do something comedic with it, with those 2 lines that Paul Rudd speaks. Plus, I've heard it's also a heist film. So that you count that one, that's 4 different genres that they're trying to cram into one film. And I'll be honest, as a studio, Marvel's not made a lot of missteps, but I feel like this one could be a misstep. It's been a while since Iron Man 3 came out, and I feel like that was a pretty big misstep. Honestly, every Iron Man movie since the first Iron Man was a misstep in my mind.
Yes, it's true.
But I mean, and honestly, Thor: The Dark World better than the first Thor.
No, that's not true. Thor: The Dark World was awful. That was a misstep too.
So was the first Thor, but okay.
No, the first Thor was great. It's one of my favorites.
I actually enjoyed the first Thor.
I'm sorry.
As well.
We're gonna have a disagreement here because I think that the first Thor is a great movie.
Yeah, I like the second one.
I didn't like it. I thought it was dumb.
Great. When Sam's the only one that backs me up.
Here's the biggest.
I'd say it was better than the first one.
The biggest issue I have with Thor: The Dark World is, aside from the writing, which I thought was very forced and not natural at all, is the fact that there was a great deal of confusion as to as to what villain we're supposed to be worried about, because Loki definitely stole the limelight.
That's what Loki does, though. That's the whole point.
But whenever you make a movie with a villain who's actually trying to destroy the world, and that's who you're trying to save the universe from, and then he takes a backseat to a character who really has no major effect on the plot of that particular movie, that you got a problem. You got a writing problem.
It works
because half of the time you were like, wait, who's the bad guy? I don't even remember now, because Loki's all over the place.
It works in Star Trek Next Generation with Q, so why can't it work with Loki?
Well,
Loki is First of all, you make a Thor movie and you don't include Tom Hiddleston, and every fangirl in America is going to kill you. They will claw out your collective eyes.
Yes, I know. But the thing is, you've got to do. But
you've also got to think about the fact that they're not making just this Thor movie. They have to think about not only the next Avengers movie, but the next Thor movie as well.
True.
They're trying to create arcs, and they're trying to tell one story across 3 movies. And so what they're trying to do is use that second installment to place Loki in a place where he can be of the most damage for the third film. And I doubt Loki will be the uber villain of the third film, but
no, I totally get where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from, but it can't be denied that that move was done at the expense of the second film. The second film suffered because of that.
I can deny it.
So basically,
I'm not an idiot, and the whole time I knew who the bad guy was, and I was not confused by it at all.
No, it's not like confusion like, oh, I don't even know what's going on. It's confusion like confusion with the plot. Like, what am I supposed to care about? It's different.
Destroy the world. The Ninth Doctor was going to destroy the world.
are you getting at that you feel like even though it may play out well in a story arc, to do that to one installment makes that installment less enjoyable?
Yes, because I did not enjoy The Dark World as much.
I did.
I didn't.
See, I
and
thought...
also the writing was a serious problem. It was very forced. The quote unquote comedy that was in there was very forced and not natural at all, like it was in the first Thor.
Well,
the first Thor had a lot of really natural comedy that came with the concept of what was happening there, the fish out of water concept, where Thor was like completely, off guard and not understanding his existence, not being a god and being on Earth and dealing with all that stuff. There was natural comedy written into that movie that totally made sense with the situation. The comedy that happened in this movie was just like forced in there. One of the things that was so cringeworthy for me is like when Thor shows up to the apartment and hangs Mjolnir on a coat rack. Like, that to me was not funny. That to me was absurd.
That was not written in the script. In fairness to the script and the film, that was not written in the script. Chris Hemsworth was like joking around during a break, and they're like, fair. "Oh, that's hilarious. Put that in the movie."
That's fair, but they put it in.
Well, for me,
to me that was very cringeworthy.
The most cringeworthy thing for me is the degradation of the Eric Selvig character across the 3 movies he's appeared in so far.
Yes.
In the first movie, he's like this brilliant astrophysicist.
Yes.
And the second movie, he's taken over by Loki, and so he's like half evil, half good, but kind of quirky, but still very... In the third movie, he's a stark raving lunatic running around Stonehenge without clothes.
I feel like what they did to his character was done for cheap laughs too, when that's not really fair to his character.
I call that Gimli syndrome.
He was actually an interesting character that, I agree with you. That frustrated me whenever they did what they had done to him, because I understand that, being taken over by Loki may have had some sort of an effect, but, presumably Hawkeye is fine, and he was taken over by Loki, so...
Presumably, we've not seen him since the end of the first Avengers.
But presumably he's fine, because once he's free of Loki's grasp in the Avengers, he's fine. And yes, we haven't seen him since then, but, presumably he's okay.
I don't know, I'm looking
also,
for Jeremy Renner to do something completely obscene in the next...
That's Avengers. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the fact that Captain America, the Winter Soldier, didn't show Hawkeye at all. And so, where does he fit in the whole Hydra? Where does he fit in the whole Hydra?
They had a scene written for him in the film, but he was busy, and so he wasn't able to film it. I think he was doing the Bourne Legacy.
That's great.
I think is what he was doing at the time. So, or something like that. Some person who knows more about movies than me will probably correct me on that if they're listening. Hi, 2 people.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom. My mom doesn't know about this and probably won't. What was I saying? Something profound.
You were saying that there was a scene written to explain
There's a
why
scene written for Hawkeye where he's basically being asked by S.H.I.E.L.D. to take out Captain America, and instead he basically keeps his eye on Cap, disables his comm, and basically tells Cap to run. And so he effectively helps Cap escape.
Okay.
It's basically
It'd be stupid to ask him to take out Captain America. They fought together to save the freaking world.
Well, it's true, but Hawkeye is a soldier.
No. I understand.
He follows orders.
I'm totally on his side. It's stupid on Hydra's part.
I understand.
Hydra's stupid.
Hydra's, well, they're run by a man who was put in a computer from the 1940s. I mean, go figure.
Does anyone watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No.
I started to rewatch season 1, and then I never finished it.
I think when I finish Supernatural, I'm going to watch it.
I'm going to go on record saying that, personally, I think that the DC TV shows are a lot stronger than the Marvel TV shows.
That's entirely possible.
I watched about six episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. whenever it first came out, and I stopped watching, so that's what I think about it.
Apparently, you have to wait until after the story arc that takes place after the Winter Soldier, because apparently then that's when it starts to get really good. Now, that's probably like the last...
Yeah, but Bill Paxton.
That is true, Bill Paxton.
Where?
Bill Paxton? He's in the show.
When? I didn't see him. That's
what happens when you keep watching after 6 episodes.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I've got to watch this show now. I love Bill Paxton. I think I made it. I think we talked about that in the last podcast. I love Bill Paxton. And
Bill Paxton's actually a very important character, from my understanding.
Yeah, people got excited.
Snap.
It was a big deal that he was in it.
Dude,
too.
I'm totally going to watch this show now.
And then
I'm really excited.
Kyle MacLachlan is in season 2.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Kyle MacLachlan's in season 2, and I know how much you guys love Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Dude.
So, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might be a show you want to watch.
Best show ever made. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
There's a rumor floating around the internet right now that, to kind of tie these two threads together, that Hawkeye is going to show up later this season in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, because I thought you were about to say that there was a rumor floating around that Twin Peaks was going to tie into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That would be insane.
No, Twin Peaks is already tied into X-Files and Stargate SG-1.
That's true. That's true.
Well, all of those TV shows exist within the universe of that kid's mind from St. Elsewhere.
Probably.
You guys familiar with the St. Elsewhere ending and the theory that it spawned?
No.
The ending of St. Elsewhere is notorious because it basically ends by saying the entire show, the entire series, was going on in the imagination of this autistic kid with a snow globe. But the problem with that is that...
I've seen that parodied, so I know what that's from now.
Right. There you go. Connecting. So the idea is St. Elsewhere actually crossed over with Hill Street Blues a lot. And of course, that show also crossed over with other shows. And so there's all these crossovers that include all these different characters. And so basically the idea is that all of television, with maybe 1 or 2 series excluded, takes place within the mind of this one child who has the most vivid imagination of any child in the history of ever. And so all these TV shows that connect to one another, and I think X-Files and Twin Peaks are both a part of it, and whatever the other, Stargate, they would all be a part of it, and so is Firefly and Battlestar Galactica and all these. They're basically all happening in the mind of this kid.
Could we also, since Joss Whedon ended Roseanne, could we also say that Roseanne would be a part of that too? Because Joss Whedon put a crazy ending on Roseanne.
Yeah, I'll never forget. There are certain things that I love about Joss Whedon, and then there are things like the end of Roseanne that I just hate Joss Whedon for.
I kind of enjoyed that.
You would.
I thought it was ridiculous.
Typical. No, the reason we think Twin Peaks and X-Files and SG-1 crossover is because what's-his-face plays the general. What's his name, Caleb?
I don't know his name.
The Colonel. Bobby.
I don't know his name.
Bobby's dad. Plays the same as the general. You ever see SG-1?
I don't think I've seen any of those shows that you mentioned.
Really?
I've never watched X-Files, never watched Twin Peaks, never watched Stargate.
That surprises me.
I know. I'm full of surprises.
Yeah.
Sometimes not always good ones.
I'm never what to expect.
Well, anyway, there's an actor.
Major Garland Briggs is his name in the show. He's played by Don S. Davis, and Don S. Davis is friggin' he plays basically the same role in 3 different shows.
Yeah.
And he's basically the same person. So the theory is that he's Scully's dad in Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah. No.
And
that would be X-Files.
That'd be X-Files.
Or no, sorry, X-Files. Yeah, he's Scully's dad in X-Files. He's Bobby's dad in Twin Peaks. So he leaves in Twin Peaks.
No, hang on. Let me explain. It works because his job. He never talks about his job. It's a secret research facility.
Yeah.
Job it. So obviously that's SG-1.
It's for the government.
But there are times in which he disappears for long, extended periods. So
she being Scully.
No,
he.
No.
The character,
So we're
okay.
assuming that he has another family on the East Coast, which is Scully's family.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
So his day job is working at the Cheyenne Mountain Complex for Stargate SG-1. And then occasionally he disappears and becomes Scully's dad.
That may
It
be
works.
that's an
works.
incredible fan theory, and my hope is that someone listens to this podcast and just throws that all over the internet. But it would have to be someone with obscure enough television tastes to
That's
know.
not obscure shows. These aren't obscure shows, man.
All right, if you say so.
I will give like,
They're not.
Won a bunch of awards when it came out. 20 years later, it's a little bit obscure now.
It's
but
a cult classic now.
It is, but
Call it what it
SG-1
is.
Yeah, but none of these are obscure shows.
SG-1
These are
and
pretty
X-Files definitely are not.
X-Files,
obscure.
I'll give you X-Files. SG-1.
10 seasons.
I don't know. SG-1 has 10 seasons, and it didn't end that long ago. It was probably,
Yeah,
like
but
5 or
what-
6 years ago that it ended.
X-Files had a movie. How long?
Two movies. Yeah,
It was
just had
UPN,
them.
though. Name me... there are no UPN shows that aren't obscure.
That is kind of true.
What?
Thank you.
SG-1?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come
but
on,
it also-
come on,
but it
right
got-
after Militia.
No, but it got picked up. It got picked up by Sci-Fi.
Hard for credibility. Hard to gain credibility when you're coming on right after Brandy's show.
SG-1 got picked up by Sci-Fi though, and played on the Sci-Fi channel forever. So
Which is a cable network that not everyone, myself, had access to at the time.
but a lot of people do though.
But
Sci-Fi
that's-
shows that are on
But not
Sci-Fi
me.
get a pretty
Therefore,
decent
for
following.
me, it is obscure.
Okay,
But as
that's
far
fair.
as like
But you're-
mass appeal,
But I do love the Stargate film with James Spader, who is playing Ultron in Avengers 2: Age of Ultron. And can we talk about that trailer? Because
we
that trailer was
can
pretty.
we can totally talk about that trailer.
That trailer was pretty sweet.
his voice,
How did you like my rambling segue there, guys? That was fun.
his voice sounds so good as Ultron.
It really does. He could just be evil forever, and
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it. Between that and Blacklist, I think. But really like this new trailer. Actually, I get progressively more excited the more I see about Avengers 2.
I'm pretty excited about this one.
I think this one will. I'm very much hoping this one will be great. It looks a lot darker. Like everything that I've seen, like both trailers they've just got a darker tone. Just the music is so somber. The first one with the really creepy Pinocchio theme was pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah.
But this latest one too, just very somber and very eerie, kind of a darker second act Empire Strikes Back kind of thing to the Avengers saga, to the first 3 phases of.
I'm not
Marvel.
one to typically look forward to these movies, but this one kind of excites me every time I see it. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh.
And part of what excites me is that the first Avengers was so awesome. Probably my second favorite Marvel film after Winter Soldier.
Man, Winter Soldier, best one.
That's one.
Still
Oh,
haven't
hands
seen it.
down.
Best one.
There's no contest even a little bit. You need to see
People
it.
would argue Guardians of the Galaxy, but you would tell them they're wrong.
I would
because-
put Guardians of the Galaxy third after
Yeah.
Avengers. And the
Number
only reason-
one, Guardians
Oh?
of the Galaxy is number 1.
Oh, it's Winter Soldier. It's Winter Soldier, Caleb.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, Winter Soldier.
You see, that's where you're wrong. Because it's Winter Soldier first, clearly,
No,
obviously. Winter Soldier
no,
first.
because his
Will you
arm.
shut up?
No,
I
no, no,
listen
no,
to
no.
this
Hold on,
stupidity,
because his
right?
arms. Because his
Listen to Mom.
arm's too shiny. His arm's too shiny. It's unreasonably shiny. There's no way that arm would be that
Caleb,
shiny.
you have the worst reason for not liking things.
It's effing metal, dude.
Yeah, but it's absurdly
his
shiny.
arm looks like PS3 graphics, so I don't like it.
I like
Exactly.
Iron Man better than Winter
Matt
Soldier.
summed it up.
Iron Man's arm is supposed to be shiny.
He's Iron Man. He uses his Cabral gun.
Winter Soldier, obviously the best one. Avengers is second.
It's not
Guardians of the
obvious.
Galaxy third. The reason Guardians of the Galaxy is third is because Ronan sucks as a villain.
Wait, Avengers is second?
Yes.
No, Avengers is not second. Iron Man is second. If
No,
if-
Iron Man is fourth at best.
Avengers.
what? No, Iron Man is number 1 actually. If you want to be
Dude, you
accurate.
can't even keep your story straight.
No, it was second. If I concede that Captain America is first.
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
If I concede that Captain America is first, then Iron Man's number 2. But I don't concede that, so Iron Man's number 1.
Yeah, no.
But in an alternate universe where I concede that Captain America is number 2, that Captain America is number 1, then Iron Man is number 2. It's so good.
Iron Man 2 was a giant number 2. I'll give you that.
Iron Man 2 was number like 27.
I enjoyed Iron Man 2 because of Mickey Rourke.
Really, I didn't enjoy it because of Mickey Rourke.
You see, I didn't enjoy it because of the entire movie was awful.
I found Mickey Rourke charming.
You know who I really liked, and for me, this was my own personal reason for liking Iron Man 2. The small bit that I did was Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer.
I will completely agree with that.
Rockwell. Because one, I love Sam. In fact, years ago, before there was even the inkling of an Iron Man movie, back when they were talking about doing Leonardo DiCaprio or Tom Cruise as Iron Man, I said, no, it's got to be Sam Rockwell. Because you could see Sam Rockwell playing a Tony Stark-like character. Although now it's almost impossible because Robert Downey Jr. is everything that Iron Man is.
He has so owned that character. It's just...
Yeah.
He really did.
And to his credit, and when they announced him as that actor, I said, that's actually strangely perfect. Because like Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. has had his addiction problems.
Yep.
Robert Downey Jr. is oddly charismatic. I mean, he's had everything going for him. So I was okay with the casting choice. But my second choice was always Sam Rockwell. Like, I love Sam Rockwell, and I wanted to see him as Iron Man. So when he was Justin Hammer in the second one, I peed myself a little. I was so excited.
And the thing about him
Sam
is
Rockwell, that's who does do.
He's so good at playing like a wormy dick.
He is. That's the grossest imagery ever.
Exactly.
Can I just say, I got a mental picture, and I hate you for that. I hate you for that. Oh, that was awful. Oh, that's gross. But Avengers: Age of Ultron, I'm very, very excited for. Just kind of want to see how the twins, as they're calling them, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, fit into the group as a whole. And
yeah, that one's weird. That's weird. We'll see what happens there. The only problem that I have with that is that Quicksilver was already in the X-Men movies.
But yeah, they rushed him in there so that that Joss Whedon couldn't use him in the Avengers.
What's his face? Who I actually really like that actor a lot. That's Quicksilver for me.
Yeah, he totally agree with you.
Yeah, that's the only reason. That's the only thing I liked about that last X-Men movie was Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Fantastic.
There were things I liked about that movie. The sequence with him running around with the guards and just kind of tipping things to the classical music was really fun.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most fun moments I had
definitely
watching the movie last year. Sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit, and so now I'm trying to choke it back down and talk at the same time.
Was it brought on by X-Men?
Damn it! Don't do that.
It's like a Clive Barker creature.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's exactly what it would be in his movies.
Just covered in blood.
I'm so sorry.
Blood. So much blood.
Oh, gosh. Well, I don't even remember what I was saying. Okay.
You were saying that scene with him running around, tipping stuff around was the most fun you ever had.
It was really fun, but it was pointless. Because it didn't add or take away anything else from the rest of the movie.
Well, it added fun.
Yeah, did you actually listen to the last podcast?
I don't listen to this show.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. So I had a rambling.
I do.
I had a rambling about that movie, and I'll just fill you in briefly that if you had just had what's her face with the portals and Bishop and Quicksilver just fighting robots, no storyline, that would have been a better movie.
I didn't dislike it, but there was a lot about it that I disliked. But I guess since you talked about it last movie or last,
I thought it was pretty great. I didn't really have many problems with it.
You and the rest of America, it was the highest grossing film of last year, I heard.
Here's the I did want to mention one thing though, because I want to qualify, because I'm very passionate about the whole Iron Man thing, and I want to qualify that statement. I want to qualify that ranking that I give Iron Man, which is number 1. The reason that I give Iron Man number 1, and it will continue to have number 1 until something amazing happens, similarly
like
to
Captain
Iron
America,
Man.
the Winter Soldier.
No. It's got to be amazing in the same vein that Iron Man was, which is that Iron Man was so well edited that it feels like maybe like a 45-minute experience, even though it's a 2-hour-long movie. It was so brilliantly edited. There was no lull. That movie is a pure, it's a ride the whole time.
I just want to get this straight, Caleb. I just want to confirm that what I'm hearing is actually what you're saying. You are ranking Iron Man as the number 1 Marvel film of all time up to this point, based solely on how it was edited.
Yes, because editing can make or break a movie.
stupidest thing I've ever
Like
heard.
the reason that I don't really ever watch The Dark Knight, like I rarely ever rewatch that movie, is because the way it's edited makes it feel so long. Even though it is really long, it makes it feel so much longer than it is that I can't stand it. It actually
I think
makes
the reason
me a little
it was
crazy.
I think the reason it was edited that way was because the director wanted you to feel the utter despair that he was putting that movie into.
Yes, but I don't want to feel that whenever I go and see a movie.
I'm going to be on both sides here.
I want to understand the despair, but I don't want to actually be feeling despair myself.
See, I agree with Caleb that editing can make or break a movie, but to say that's what makes the movie the best thing, the editing, that's not.
No. I'm not saying that the editing alone makes it the best. It is an incredibly
No,
well
that's
written.
what you said. I
Yeah,
said
it
based
is.
solely
No.
on editing, and you said yes.
I'm saying that the editing is the thing that takes it over the top. None of the other Marvel movies, no matter how, because the thing is that Iron Man is also incredibly well written and acted. It's a good story. It's very well written. It's very poignant and clever in all the lines. But the editing takes it over the top. I just haven't seen a movie that is so tightly knit together from Marvel since then that it was overall a completely enjoyable experience. That's the thing about Iron Man, is that I have no complaints with that movie. Zero. There's no part of that movie that I don't love. It is such a tight-knit, enjoyable experience that for me, it's the best. It's the best because of how enjoyable it is and how there's nothing that I can complain about with it.
See, I
Even
felt
if
that
there
way.
are aspects of other movies that are better, the fact is that Iron Man is the best package for me. The best
So
whole package.
You like Iron Man's package. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
What I heard.
it's the deluxe package.
Caleb likes the deluxe package. All right.
I like the deluxe
now
package in the
settle
form
that,
of
ladies
Iron
and
Man.
gentlemen.
Best movie.
Say what? What did you say? I didn't hear you.
I said I like the deluxe package in the form of Iron Man. Best movie.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I disagree,
that's
but-
my assessment. That's my assessment. Nobody has to agree with me, but that's where I've always
don't,
stood
so.
on it.
I think it's the pulse feature that the Iron Man package has that really drives it for Caleb. I feel like that's
It drives
it.
it hard, too.
Yeah.
It's the repulsor technology, not the pulse technology. Gosh.
Oh, gotcha. Can we
Get
even
it
use
right,
that?
Matt.
If that's the actual technology, I would imagine it's patented. Do we have to pay Tony Stark to say that?
Tony
It is
Stark's
It is trademarked.
Oh, okay. That's where this conversation, it's the line drawn.
That's ridiculous.
That's where this
Wow.
is ending.
That happened. But no, can we all at least agree that Ronan, the accuser, sucks as a villain?
Yes.
Can we at least agree
Yeah.
on that?
Terrible villain.
That he wasn't a great villain, but at the same time he.
Sucks
I mean,
as a villain?
he was there, and he did his job to drive the plot forward. But that wasn't really the point of the movie. The point of
Both
the
of
movie
his
was.
henchmen were 10 times more interesting than he was.
Yeah, I know. It was.
What's-her-face was a henchman, yeah? Did you notice that one, Caleb?
Nebula and Korath were way better.
Nebula being
characters.
Doctor Who. What's her face?
Yeah.
Friggin'
Well, by the way, I
yeah.
saw it in
Amy
another movie,
Pond.
and she's not that great of an actress, honestly.
No, but if you shave her hair off and paint her blue, she's passable as a cyborg.
Yeah?
That's good.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
My mind is a useless repository for names of actors. and
Yeah,
films.
I don't know why mine
Yeah, I
is
saw
not
her
today.
in, what is it, the Oculus?
Yeah, I saw Oculus. How'd you feel about Oculus, Matt?
I don't know.
The ending was awful.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, that movie is great up until the ending.
yeah. I would.
That should have had a happy ending. Yeah, that's right. Spoilers. Yeah, that should have had a happy ending. I was kind of pissed off that it didn't have a happy ending.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm some sort of like masochistic person when it comes to certain things. But part of me feels like I respect the movie more because
No.
they punished me in that way.
No, there's a time and a place for a bad ending, for a tragic ending, and that movie was not one of them. Because the entire movie, you're like, I hope they destroy the mayor. I hope they destroy the mayor. I hope they destroy the mayor.
Yeah.
And then no, they're gonna kill her, and then what's Space is gonna get accused of?
I think they
Her brother's gonna be
were
accused of
trying to
killing.
go against the grain because it's so.
Well, maybe they could shut up. And
typical.
Just go with the grain, because if they went with the grain, the movie was really well made. Like the soundtrack, the audio,
Mhm.
the special, like the audio for that movie was beautiful. Like it was just really unnerving. The entire movie was unnerving.
Yeah.
But then the ending was.
Well,
Worst
I
film
didn't see
ending
it. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's cool.
Worst ending to a movie ever.
Worst ending of a film. Go.
Hmm.
I don't know that I have an answer to this question.
I don't know either.
It just sort of naturally came up as a
What
result of
movie
your
have I
guys'
seen?
conversation.
yeah, I
Ending
don't.
has just like pissed me off. Hang on.
Other than this movie that you're.
Yeah,
just talking
but
about.
there's one I'm trying to think of. There's one in the back of my mind that was great up until the very ending. Oh, every movie by that director you like, Caleb.
Which one?
Donnie Darko, Southland Tales.
Oh, Richard Kelly.
Every movie. Yeah, Richard Kelly. Every movie he's ever made.
Yeah, same here. I'm with you on that.
With that
Okay,
answer.
here's the thing. I like Donnie Darko anyway, and I liked The Box anyway. But seriously, the endings of those movies, dude. And Southland Tales, I did not like. I can go on record as saying that I did not like Southland Tales because it was too far out there. Like there's a limit, and Southland Tales absolutely went outside of that limit for me.
Yeah, but with every single movie I see by him, I am enjoying the movie. I'm like, this is great. This is an awesome movie. And then the ending happens, and I'm like, well, that was awful.
You just killed my erection.
Yes, remember that quite literally happened with Donnie Darko.
I think what would be best. I think what would be best for Richard Kelly movies is if you're watching the movie and you get like all the way to the end, like 5 minutes left to go, and then you die of a heart attack,
Or you turn it off, make up your own ending.
or like some sort of emergency situation comes up where you can't watch any more of the movie, and then you're never able to ever again. So you can
Oh
just
man, I've
like
never seen the ending, but what I did see was so good.
yeah.
Hey, Caleb, do you remember that time when they redid Donnie Darko when put Ashton Kutcher in it and called it the Butterfly Effect?
Yeah, I do remember that time. And you know what? I like that movie.
That ending sucked.
Do you remember that time they made 2 or 3 sequels?
That ending. Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah, there are so many of those.
Do you remember the
Dude.
8 Films to Die For thing that was going on there for a while? Where
Yeah.
like it was a big deal. Like they'd release like 8 horror movies every year.
Oh yeah.
All the sequels were one of those movies.
What?
wanna-
That's awful.
I want to talk about the Butterfly Effect, though. I like that movie, and
Sorry.
while I agree that the ending was not fantastic, it was better than Donnie Darko's ending. Technically,
I mean, Donnie Darko's ending that's tough because that's
It's-
terrible.
in its own in the context of the film of the Butterfly Effect, the ending that happened made sense, even though it wasn't a particularly fantastic ending. And I guess Donnie Darko's did too, but I think that
If you count anything about Donnie Darko as having made sense.
well, it makes sense. It makes sense to the greatest extent that Donnie Darko could possibly make sense.
Then you thought more about that movie than anyone else.
Well, I did
Because-
think about it a lot, but I didn't ever watch it with the director commentary, which Sam said to do, which would apparently make me decide that movie was the worst thing ever.
Because not even what did they pull in?
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith and the director, and they as they were watching
They're
it,
trying to figure out what it meant.
yeah, the person that directed the movie was unsure of where he was
So
going
you pull
with it.
in Kevin Smith of all people.
Yeah, seriously.
Kevin Smith. If Kevin Smith is there to help you breathe meaning into your film, you're screwed. You're done.
Well, look, I gleaned my own meaning out of Donnie Darko, so it all worked nicely for me. I like Donnie Darko. I don't think it's a bad film. Sam hates Donnie Darko. I don't know how Matt feels about it, but I like it.
I feel like Donnie Darko is one of those movies where you really have to suspend your belief and put yourself in the logic that the movie's. You have to put yourself in the mind of the logic that the movie gives you, which is weird at times. But all in all, I like the movie because it is very cinematically pleasing. You enjoy watching it, even if you get to the end and you actually think about the story and you're like, what the hell did I just watch?
I think
It is still very fun to watch.
the meaning that I gleaned out of that movie was the futility of your actions in the universe. That's what it's all about to me, is about how futile everything you do is.
Well,
See,
no, because
why don't you just go listen to Kansas?
Well, no.
I can sum up that movie in like a 5-minute song.
No, because the thing was his actions did have long-lasting repercussions. In fact, his actions weren't futile at all. Him dying irrevocably changed the course of events for everyone around him.
Yes, but the point was that death was exchanged for death. Like, the point was that death was unavoidable. It's just who died.
Death is always unavoidable. Whether
I know, but in that particular scenario, death was unavoidable. So all that changed was who died. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you can do whatever you want.
It was a matter of fixed events.
So in other words, it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to die, and so is everyone you know.
Right.
Oh, just like real life.
Yeah. But those are the
like,
kinds of messages that I get out of Richard Kelly movies anyway. Except for Southland Tales. I didn't get a message out of that one. I got nothing from that movie. That movie was ridiculous. If you think hard enough,
you get that message out of literally any movie you watched.
Well,
yeah, but, but Donnie Darko was more upfront about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lesson I have learned, die young and save yourself.
There you go.
I was getting that message from more of like a quantum physics perspective than like the regular everyday life perspective. And I think that was the point. I think the point was that it was supposed to be like a highly thoughtful quantum mechanics-y way of expressing things that we already know.
So Stephen Hawking probably really appreciated that film on a much different level than we did.
I'm not sure that Stephen Hawking saw it, so I can't confirm or deny how he felt about it. But, I feel like he probably would have been like, Richard Kelly, you're stupid.
I don't know if he's stupid. Like, Richard Kelly is a NASA scientist.
Yeah, no, I don't.
He is highly intelligent. He is actually very highly intelligent.
No, I don't think Richard Kelly's stupid. I'm not saying that Richard Kelly's stupid. I'm saying that Stephen Hawking would probably say he was stupid.
I can see Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Compared to Stephen Hawking, I'm sure a lot of people are stupid.
And also, Stephen Hawking.
The IQ of this podcast is stupid compared to Stephen Hawking.
Well, yeah, but also you gotta also remember that Stephen Hawking is an asshole. So,
that's true as well.
I feel like you would be an asshole too if you were in Stephen Hawking's position.
If you had motor neurons disease, you'd probably be.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I'm not gonna
probably have a stiff personality.
I'm not gonna deny that, but I'm just saying he's an asshole. That was good.
That being said, I really want to see The Theory of Everything, which paints Stephen Hawking as like the biggest romantic ever for like a year.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm 10 right now.
Oh, man. So, guys, is there anything else we were going to cover on movies, or should we move on to our next topic?
Move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt earlier mentioned he was watching Twin Peaks.
Oh, yes. Let's see about that.
Well, at both of your requests, Caleb and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a part of this conversation.
Mm-mm.
No. I started watching Twin Peaks. I am one episode away from finishing the first season.
Okay. What do you think?
That's kind of hard. Could you ask me any more of a more broad question?
Who's your favorite character?
Okay, see, this is how this is going to work. For me to say anything about this series, you guys are going to have to ask kind of specific questions. I can't be broad concerning this.
What are your general thoughts on the show?
Season 1, episode 7. About halfway through the episode, there was a moment. What did you think of that specific
hold on a
moment?
second. What do you? I think this will summarize a lot of what happens in that show. How did you feel about Tibetan Method?
I'm going to be honest. I've actually been waiting for something to come up in my daily life to which my friends and I had to figure out something. And then when we came to the conclusion, I would be able to say, well, I think that breaks the glass. I've been waiting to use that in my daily life, and it has not happened yet. But I appreciate it.
So as far as police, like as far as legitimate police work goes, like, do you think that's a legit method?
And Matt's answering this from all his experience as a legitimate police officer?
Well, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course.
Well, as a completely,
I'm a man with a particular set of skills.
as a wholly unqualified commenter, talking about things which he has no knowledge of, would you say it is a?
We are doing a podcast. That's kind of what they are.
Those
that's what
who
we
can't
tend to do. Yes.
record podcasts.
Exactly.
So,
or those who don't know.
right.
We can do anything.
Including do a podcast.
Exactly, which is what we chose to do.
So who's your favorite character?
Well, hold on. I'm summing up the Tibetan method. What I will say is that I found that whole scene amusing, and I love that these backwoods police officers just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't question a single thing. Like in any other series, they'd be like, this FBI agent's full of crap. He needs to be out of here. But they're just like,
Okay.
oh, cool. I guess we should go investigate this really weird, obscure dream that you had and then build our whole case around it.
I love how they just go by his dreams. He tells them his dreams and they don't question it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this FBI agent told us the dream. That's a really weird dream. We
There's
should go
probably
with it.
something in the water in Twin Peaks.
I would imagine there's a lot of things
They
in
should
the
probably
water.
look into that.
Like dead bodies.
So who do you think killed him?
I know.
I will gut you if you ever revealed him before you see him.
Oh,
Well-
I'm not gonna do that.
Right now, in the series where I'm at, the series is really wanting me to believe that Leo and Jacques did it.
Oh, freaking.
Do you think Leo and Jock did it?
I don't know. I'm not leaning towards they did it. They obviously had some kind of connection.
Is there someone that you are leaning toward who did it?
No. I don't. I do obviously think they had some sort of role in it because the talking bird, there was evidence that they were connected, but I don't believe there's enough evidence to say that they killed her.
Do you want me to tell you who did it?
No.
If you do
Okay.
that,
Don't do it.
See that knife on the wall behind you, Steven?
Which one?
There are many.
I can probably reach out and touch any one of 5 weapons right now from where I'm sitting. 2 of them are Russian rifles on the floor. There's a knife back
Those
there
are not knives.
hanging from the wall.
There's a story
Well, there's a
I could
knife
tell
attached to at least
about.
2 of those.
There's a story I could tell about Sam's room constantly having weapons in it, but that is a story for another time because we are talking about Twin Peaks.
Hey Matt, how did
we
you
still on
feel?
there?
How did you feel about the fact that Agent Rosenfield, his interactions with the local police departments? He's in it, right? You've seen Agent Rosenfield, right?
No.
Forensics?
He's the forensics guy.
Yeah.
The highly abrasive forensics agent who comes in and is a major
That's the-
asshole to all of the local law enforcement.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the fact that he's 100% an asshole to every person that is what he considers backwoods, redneck idiots, but he kind of like freely accepts all of Agent Cooper's ridiculous methods. How do you feel about that guy?
For those who don't know, Miguel Ferrer plays Agent Rosenfield.
I love Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah, that's George Clooney's cousin.
That's weird.
Yeah, and Audrey Hepburn's
brother.
son.
No.
That's also
Rosemary
weird.
Rosemary
You
Clooney's
sure?
son. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, look it up.
So how do you
Okay.
feel about that guy?
It's not-
Um,
brothers? I don't know.
And
Really?
specifically his interactions with the various characters, including Agent Cooper, and his pure acceptance of Agent Cooper's antics, but his pure hatred for the supposedly simple-minded people of the town.
I thought he was a really fun character, especially the interactions between him and the sheriff. I think from what the series world is, the picture that the series world is painting to the audience is that in the world of FBI agents and all that other stuff, what Agent Cooper is doing as far as FBI agents and all that is concerned is just perfectly normal.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, they just
His methods of investigation are totally legit.
yeah, in that section of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that is just perfectly acceptable. And I think that that's what the series is trying to get you to understand, is that it's acceptable there, but it's really, really awkward for us.
Whereas
it's awkward for
the local law enforcement who kind of represents traditional, logical police work, even though it may not be the most well executed. It's the concept, the basic concept of traditionally accepted police work. He looks at them like they're complete idiots. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. Going back to what Sam asked me though, favorite character, I'm really tied between Agent Cooper and Audrey.
You and my wife would get along so well. I think she's writing fan fiction downstairs right now of them actually meeting up. So
a close third though would, for some reason, be what's his name? Audrey's uncle.
What is his name? No, her dad and her uncle. I like their interactions.
Yeah,
those two characters. They're complete assholes, but they're funny when they're together.
But her uncle is so weird.
All right, I have to concede. Audrey Hepburn was married to Mel Ferrer, who, to the best of my knowledge, is of absolutely no relation to Jose Ferrer whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
So.
I think we've had this conversation before, actually.
Okay.
A long while ago, like a year ago.
Okay, I don't remember, but all right.
But, to go on record, I find Audrey incredibly attractive.
Hepburn or the character in the show?
Both. The character, well, yes, both.
Okay.
I don't know, Audrey Hepburn's feet are huge.
You know what? I would accept it.
Okay.
I would accept her for her feet and everything.
Okay.
She's just so quirky and fun.
Yeah, but those feet are like... They're like... size.
I don't care.
Well, ladies, now you know what expects in a woman.
Are you sure that your favorite... Are you sure that your favorite character is not Pete?
Which one's Pete?
Pete.
Oh...
I love that guy so much.
I enjoy him, but I wouldn't say he's my favorite.
There's a fish in the percolator.
My favorite character is either the log lady or the man from another place.
Steven's only seen 2 episodes of this.
That's true.
Steven, I would say you've got to watch the whole series. It's so fantastic.
That's what everyone tells me.
By the way,
but he also already knows who killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah, but I mean, that's important.
Spoilers for a 20-year-old TV show? Whoops.
That's important, but at the same time, I still think that you could enjoy the show. I mean, how many times have you watched through it, Sam?
Oh, I've seen it 3 times. Second time was my best time.
I felt that in the 10th time there was a resurgence of enjoyment within my inner sanctum, the soul. But it was very brief and within the 5th episode.
I think the reason the 3rd time wasn't my best time because like the day that I finished my 2nd run, I started the 3rd one. Mm-hmm. Like the day I watched the last episode and then I watched the 1st episode again.
Law of diminishing returns.
Yeah. So
wait, so how many times have you watched it?
3 times.
Okay.
This was my first time in which I thought, oh, this show's weird. And then the 2nd time, I don't know why I watched it a 2nd time, but...
Apparently that's what you need to do with all David Lynch movies, so you need to watch Eraserhead a few more times.
I tried watching it a 2nd time, and I only got halfway through it again. I thought, nope.
So maybe
you should try getting through the whole movie one time and see what happens.
It's okay. I feel like I'm not missing anything with not watching.
Are you saying that his works work on the principle of 3rd time's a charm? Like you watch it 3 times, you don't enjoy the 3rd time as much as the 2nd time, but you'll understand the scope of what was going on.
Well, and the 3rd time, the 3rd time will help you understand how much you enjoyed it the 2nd time.
Yeah. See, the thing with Twin Peaks though is every time I watch it, I see something new.
It's like camping. You do it to remember how much you enjoyed it the previous time, but when you're doing it the previous time, you didn't enjoy it.
I don't think that's how camping is at all.
Clearly, you've never been camping.
Yeah, I think camping you do it just to remind you that civilization. Thank God.
Toilets.
Yeah,
that's a thing, and I'm glad it's a thing.
Hot showers, running water.
So Sam, last week before we wrapped up the podcast, you were talking about a beer tasting that you were wanting to do in this podcast.
Yes, I have Trader Joe's, which is like a it's like a health food store chain.
It is a store that is catered majorly to upper class white people. So
I think that they eat healthy. Yes. Well, anyway, they release a beer every year.
It's not all healthy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Trader Joe's is kind of affordable though, for certain things. Yeah. So I like it.
Anyway, Trader Joe's releases a vintage ale every holiday season.
Brewed by Canadians.
Made by Canadians, yes.
It actually is made by the same company that made the beer that Caleb was trying earlier, the Unibrew.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It is. According to my beer
That's
app,
awesome.
That's the same company that makes it. So.
Okay, so this company is solid. If you see Unibrew anywhere, it's solid.
They're
kind of on the pricey end of things.
That is ironic.
There are other beers about this.
This really takes the podcast full circle. So
okay,
good job.
I got 2013. I have a bottle of last year's brew and a bottle of this year's brew, and
it's 2015 now.
So he's got a bottle of 2013 and a bottle of 2014.
Yeah.
So last year's and this year's. This is the current. This is the 14 is the current.
That's true.
Brew.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one they just released this past year.
It comes out I think November is when they release it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So me and Matt and our guest star connoisseur Steven
Hi.
will be testing these beers out. See what we think.
I'm very excited. By the way, the beer app that I've been using, in case any of you are looking for a good beer app for Android or iPhone, is the Untapped app. Sam uses it as well. Untapped without the E. And it's a great app for kind of cataloging your beers. You can also connect it to your Facebook, connect with all your friends, and see what they're drinking as well.
So guys, I want you to hear this.
That sounded
beautiful.
So good.
Look at how sexy that is.
That was sexy.
I'm rigid.
Oh, so how do I do this? I go ahead and open the 14 and then.
Well, I mean, we can go ahead and decant this one, unless you want to let it breathe for a couple minutes.
Yeah. So let's. I want to hear your opinions as I pour this.
Sure.
What do you think? How sexy?
This is well, I do like them dark, and this one is incredibly dark. Oh, that's good for me. So let's try this thing. So this is the 2013.
Yeah, it's the 2013 ale. What's your opinion on how it looks and smells?
Well, look is great. I love the smell. I'm getting some coffee note there.
Yeah, I can smell that as well.
It's almost got like a mocha character to it.
Whoa, that is really smooth.
It's incredibly smooth.
This is 1 year old. Yeah.
This is aged remarkably well.
Wow, that is tasty.
Yeah.
This actually tastes more like a dark wine.
Yeah, that is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Very smooth, caramel texture, dark, slight nuttiness at the end. I'm really liking that.
It doesn't have any of the acquired tastes that beer tends to have, like the hoppiness or the sourness.
It's slightly sweet. You've got the malty characters really shining through.
I think it's become slightly more alcoholic over time.
That tends to be what happens with alcohol, Sam.
Yeah, I'm just saying stronger than
It just doesn't. It just gets more alcohol-y.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you say? It would double in alcohol?
I don't know if it would double, but it would certainly go up.
I guess when I bought this, it was at 9%.
Yeah, that's good. Is what that is.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Man, that just tastes fantastic.
That's very nice.
So I guess now we gotta try the 2014.
I guess we have to.
I mean,
We gotta compare them somehow.
Might as well, since
I
we're all
guess.
here drinking
if you want
beer.
to twist my leg about it.
Does anyone want to hear the uncorking of the 2014?
I think you'd be foolish not to let us hear it.
Well, let's hear what it sounds like, and maybe we can compare and contrast later to see if the 2014 and 13 sound differently.
Very nice. It's probably similar. Probably a similar
Yeah.
sound there. And this is the one that we had at New Year's, right, Sam?
Yeah. So I'm sure we already have pre opinions on this.
Well, I liked it then. We'll see if I like it as much now after tasting the 2014.
Drinking 2013 last year, it was just a good beer last year anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the character on this one.
Yeah, like it's better aged, but it was good last year. Last year by itself was good.
I'm looking at the score that I gave this one when we had it on New Year's, and I gave it a 3.5 on Untapped. I gave the 2013 a 4.5.
Is that what's the scale for that?
Out of 5.
Okay.
Out of 5 stars. So I gave this 2014 a 3.5. So I'm anxious to see if it'll hold up, and if so, how. I mean, the thing about the vintage ales that I like is they're all
Wait a little bit with the head down.
very dark, and so they have kind of some of the built-in characters of dark brews that I like. They tend to be very rich in overall character, very tasty. I really like a nice, smooth, dark beer. Except for Guinness. Guinness, you need to be able to chew. I like to be able to chew my Guinness, but overall, I like stouts more than porters, I think. But stouts tend to be smoother.
I'd
than
agree
porters.
with that. Porters are hit and miss for me.
That's
I've had some really
true.
good porters, and I've had some really awful porters.
I can count on one hand the number of porters I've had that I really enjoyed, but I can probably only count on two hands the number of porters I've actually had. So
I don't really know if I've had that many porters, or if any. I know I've had some. I just don't know.
the Busted Knuckle Ale from Quaffon down at Big Woods Brewing down in Nashville, Indiana is really good. That's probably the best one I've had.
I've seen that advertised in bars that I frequent, but I've never had it.
It's good.
So
I also really like the Breckenridge Vanilla Porter. Is another really good one that I like.
I'm not familiar with that one though. So, but I will
That
keep
one
them
actually you
both in
can find
mind.
at just about any liquor store. The Breckenridge Vanilla, and it's pretty good.
Right on.
I like it.
So, 2014.
2014.
What's it look like? How's it smell?
Very dark. It's a little sharper on the nose than the last one was.
Mm-hmm.
Not getting so much coffee here as it's a little more bitter, I suppose, on the nose.
Yeah, you can.
It's almost gritty.
Yeah, you can feel it like in the
yeah.
front of your nostrils.
Mhm. It flares a bit.
Well, let's take a sip.
Yeah, you can tell this is a beer that's definitely made to age. Because as smooth as the 2013 was, this one has a lot of, I would say, will have a lot of the same character given time. Because it tastes like a modified version, just a little on the sharp side. It's a little bitter. It plays right around the edge of the taste buds, just around the outskirts of the tongue.
I would define it as sort of like, not in texture, but I would say it's kind of a grittier taste.
Yeah, definitely. No, I would characterize it that way.
I feel the same way about this that I felt when I first had it. Like, when I had the 2013 last year, I thought that was fantastic. I went out and bought a bunch of bottles of it and was just drinking all season. This one, I find, is good. Like, it's adequate. In my opinion, it's adequate. It's nothing spectacular to write home about.
Yeah.
It's adequate.
I'd agree with that.
I think I was told it was supposed to be better than last year's. I wouldn't say that.
I honestly think I like it less after having consumed the 2013. I think I'm actually going to have to bump it down a half a star.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's still a passable beer, but it's a little more average. So I'm going to actually bump this down to 3 stars as opposed to the 3.5 that I'd given it at New Year's.
It's a comfortable beer to drink, but it's not.
Yeah. It's adequate.
Yeah.
I will be anxious to
not
see
bad.
where this is in a year.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree.
I got two bottles of it aging, one for next year and one for 2 years.
All right.
And I have
That's the way to do it.
I have a 2013 for next year. So next year we'll be doing 2013, 14, and 15.
Nice. I think I might have a 2012 at home, which I probably
this-
need to pour soon.
Yeah,
Is this just going to become like a yearly thing?
Yeah, it's something I do.
I'm excited
It
for
doesn't
that.
age well past 3 years from what I'm hearing.
Okay. Well, then I need to probably get that
Yeah.
and cork that pretty soon. And I would usually drink a whole bottle myself, just probably not wise. Usually I couldn't wait long enough so I just pop it and drink the whole thing. And honestly, a bottle of this would be very different than a bottle of the 2013. Because that's, again, like it's aged, and so you've got the higher alcohol content, but it's so smooth you almost don't recognize it. Kudos to your palate, Sam, for pulling that out. But yeah, this is going to be, this might be decent next year. I don't know that it's going to be as good as that was. That was something pretty spectacular.
I'm curious to see if that bitterness gets buried with age.
Yeah, or gets it. I would think it would almost have to. It tastes almost. This one tastes almost like a very young, dry red wine. It's young. All the fruits haven't matured, haven't developed yet. It's a little sharp, but particularly in the aftertaste, it tastes. It almost has a red wine sort of aftertaste.
Yeah, you can really feel the bitterness, kind of like in the back of your mouth, like where your throat is.
I feel like you can taste the alcohol a little more too.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I'm tasting a lot of the alcohol in that one.
See, I would disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not tasting alcohol as much as I did on 2013.
See, I'm tasting a lot of the alcohol there. And maybe it's just kind of a retrospective, kind of letting it sit in my mouth right now kind of a thing. But I'm definitely tasting alcohol more on that one.
It's certainly not as smooth as the 13.
No.
Like I said, that compared to most beers that I drink, the 2013, honestly, I know it's a beer, but it reminds me much more of like a wine. It's just very smooth.
Yeah.
Well, that was our review of the 2013 and 14 Trader Joe's Vintage Ale.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Maybe next time or sometime after that. I'd love to come back and do it again.
Yeah, he'll certainly be a guest star on the show with us.
Thank you. I enjoyed it a lot.
I quite enjoyed having your company, although I seem to always enjoy having your company.
Well, cheers. We should do this more often then. This is only, the third, fourth time we've hung out?
It really, yeah.
We should really do this more frequently. And 2 of those times were involved with his wedding. Mm-hmm. Actually, technically all 3, because one was his bachelor party.
Yeah, I've never actually met you outside of some sort of
I don't get
wedding
married
function.
all the time, guys.
But, your Sam's bachelor party, and then the rehearsal dinner and the wedding itself. So those were kind of the only 3 times we've really hung out.
I feel like it definitely cemented a friendship, though.
For sure. Let's keep this going. Absolutely. Cheers, Sam, Matt, Caleb, out there in the ether of Arkansas. Cheers to you as well. And thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Okay, so due to technical difficulties, we lost like half of the sound footy for this podcast. So we're back, me and Sam, a week later to close this podcast out. Matt's not with us. Steven's obviously not with us. Steven left a week ago, and you know about this because we just talked about that. So anyway, that was a disaster, but we're here and we're recording this and we're going to release this podcast after all. So so all that remains at this point is to just tell everybody thank you for listening. Sorry that it came out late.
Yeah, so, thanks for listening. I want to thank Steven for being on this, and thanks Matt for being on this too. Guest starring Matt for all of them. But hold on. Yeah, go ahead, Sam. I was going to say you can follow us on our various social media. I don't know what any of our stuff is. I'm sure you can find it out. It's not hard. You just click on things and you'll see it.
You can. Sure. I know for sure that you can find Matt's band Romanticide at facebook.com/romanticideband. And I know that you can find Sam at I'm Your Pallbearer on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram. If you want to look at pictures of my animals, yes, that's where you want to follow me. I'm like 62% sure you can follow me on Twitter at sdumas138. If you want to hear about my latest movie going-ons, I post my movie stuff there, my animals on Instagram, and then my regular life on Facebook. So I have a social media for every aspect of myself.
All right, and then you can find the White Trash Voltaire, just so you know, because I feel like that a lot of people these days are not aware that our Facebook page exists, strangely enough. You can definitely find us, and you totally should, at facebook.com/the White Trash. Oh, sorry. No, it's /White Trash Voltaire. There's no the. It's just facebook.com/White Trash Voltaire. We would really appreciate it if you liked our page, because if you listen to our podcast, Facebook, we have a website, and that's great. But Facebook is a great metric for us to tell who's listening and who cares. So if you care, please give us a like on Facebook. And I don't have social media, so you can't find me. Just the way I like it.
If you want to stalk Caleb, I'll give you his email address. Just private message me on Facebook.
Don't do that, Sam. I don't want to be stalked. So.
My wife has his address, so I can also give that out to you if you want to send him gifts. I know that Matt gets a lot of gifts from his fans, and that ends up being cool sometimes.
I feel like that if that's going to happen, we should probably set up a P.O. box. Because I don't want my personal address being given out at all.
Yeah, somehow people get Matt's personal address and they send him stuff. And
yeah, I feel like that Matt should probably get a P.O. box for his band. Yeah, they should probably just have a romanticide P.O. box.
Yeah, I know we're supposed to be closing this out, but this is a fun topic. So Matt does get stuff. Like, these are people who he doesn't know somehow get his address and send it to him. So it doesn't matter if he gets a P.O. box. They're going to send the stuff to his regular address. It's just weird to think your friend has, like, fans.
Yes, it is.
It's weird. Just weird. It's weird, guys. Don't be friends with people who are famous.
Yeah, it'll weird you out, especially whenever you go to a Halloween store and 3 different people, or 4, I don't even remember, all notice who you are or who your friend is, and you're just standing there and you're like, this is weird.
It was weird.
Because like, I just know this guy because I just know this guy from when he was 14.
Like, are you Matt from Romanticide? Oh my gosh! I didn't want to ask because I was too embarrassed.
And we're just like, he's Matt from down the street.
Exactly.
Like 8 years ago down the street. We hung out with him. He was 14. We were older than him, but he was surprisingly mature for his age. So we hung out with him.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, that's good though. But yeah. So if you just want to follow all of us, and except for me, because you can't, then that'd be great. I mean, you do whatever you want. And again, I'm really sorry about all the delay and everything with this release. It was just it was literally everything that could go wrong. Seriously, did go wrong. Constant technical issues from Skype to our own computers. So we'll do better next time. And you should be expecting to get an episode at the normal time this coming Sunday, as well as this episode's release. So we should be back on normal schedule. So thank you everybody for listening, and you guys have a nice day.
Have a good one. Bye.